Good morning out there to those in internet land. Right now, classes are working on doing numbers 1 and 2 from one of the two worksheets that we have to pick up today. You'll get them whenever you download them off of Canvas or tomorrow in class. So yeah, working on numbers 1 and 2. Good. What I want you to do now with those worksheets is I want you to just put them away, okay, and get out your notes. Okay? It was just a warm up. We'll check them later. Okay? We'll check them when we get to checking the homework and all that fun stuff. And then we were just kind of getting you started on that, getting you warmed up, thinking about graphing sines and cosines once again. Okay? So here is another one. I don't know why it's all kind of goofy. Let's see if I can fix that so it's not so. There, that looks a little bit better. So if I've got the graph y equals 3 sine of 1/2 x, let's figure out this particular graph. So what do I know right off the start? Give me one of the pieces of 9. That I know. Clear? So we'll start in the middle, and then go up. Because it's the positive base, so it's going to go up, come back down to the middle, down to the low, and back up. Okay. What else do I know?
You have a high of 3 and a low and -3.
Okay, I like that. Because what's my middle then? 0. Amplitude? 3. Amplitude is 3. That's why we got the high of 3 and the low of -3. Like it. Okay. Domain, that's the easy one, right? All real numbers. That one's always going to be all real numbers with sines and cosines. Okay? What's my range then? So -3 to 3, because we always go smallest to biggest. Yep. And inclusive, so we're using brackets. Okay? Now, I will tell you a preview of things to come next year. Okay? On the test that you're going to have on the 5th of January, okay, you're not only going to have to graph it, but we're going to ask you 3 of the 9. Okay? So we're going to ask you and they'll be randomly generated as to which 3 we ask you for. Okay? So just so you know. Okay? Where does this one start? Starts at 0, yep, because we haven't done horizontal shifts yet. Where does it end? Well, at what? Do we agree with it ending at pi? Do we agree with it ending at 2 pi? I don't agree with either one of those. Okay? So how do we figure out the period? Because that's going to be the length of that first lap. So b being that coefficient right there. So 2 pi divided by 1/2 is how much? 4 pi. Yep. You went times instead of dividing. Yep. So where is this one going to end? It's going to end at 4 pi. So now we can draw it in. I always start with my curve. And then I fill in 0, 4 pi, half of 4 pi, 2 pi, half of 2 pi, pi, average of 2 and 4 pi. So 3 pi. Okay. And then we also have to fill in, we went all the way down to -3, we went all the way up to positive. Agreed? Yeah, looks great. All right. Okay. So we talked. Oops, I guess we got another one now. And yeah. What was that? No? Well, we could, but because it's got a negative one. Okay, no, we can still do it going out to the right. Yeah, because that would be our technical first lap. Okay, so on your identity sheet, your pink identity sheet, what's the sign with a negative identity? You know, where we said sine of negative x is equal to what? 1 or 2, I think. Number 2. So it's negative sine of t, right? Right? So this would be negative sine of x. So if I do that, I can think about this one as y equals negative sine of 1/2 x. Right? So, is it still going to start in the middle and go up? Middle, down, middle? Or are we going to go down, middle, up, down? Or up, down, middle, up, middle? Down, middle, up, middle? Okay? So we can draw that in right away. So it's going to look like that. Okay. My domain's going to be all real numbers. Now, from there, let's figure out everything else. I need to know how low it goes. I need to know how high it goes. I need to know where it starts, where it ends, the middle, and the average. And that comes from our pieces of 9. What is the middle of this function? 0. What is the amplitude of this function? 1. 1. Which means it goes how high and how low? Up to 1, down to negative 1. Right? Start. Where does the first lap start? 0. Period. Should be the same as the last one, right? Because then we just have a 1/2. Yeah. So that period here is going to be 4 pi. It's not. Nope. Because it would have been the absolute value of b. All good? Yeah? All right. Now, let's kick it up 3-4 notches. Okay? So, this up here, a times either sine or cosine, either one, times the quantity b times the quantity x minus c, then plus d. Okay? So we did amplitudes. You learned about amplitudes from the video last week and the snow day. Period, you learned about that in the second video from last week, Wednesday. No, we were out Thursday. What were we out? Wednesday, Thursday. Wednesday was blue, Thursday was green. Today we're going to handle purple. Okay? Vertical shifts. Okay? So what that we're going to do is if you've got a number way out here at the end, okay, outside of set of parentheses, stuff way out here at the end comes last, okay? Or it might even come first. Sometimes you'll have, what I mean by it, and this is something to watch out for, here is you might have y equals 3 sine of, I don't know, pi over 2 times x minus 4 plus, oh, I used 3 already, plus 7. Okay? But they also might write it as, or we also might write it as, or NTC might write it as, or you might see it written as, same thing here. Those two are exactly the same thing. Okay? So you have to be wary, and that's why I don't always say it's always the last number, because it might be the term that comes first, before the trig function. Okay? So, just so you know, it would be in either one. And what that does is that takes your middle, like when we were back here and we found this middle right here, when we were finding this middle, that number is the middle. So on that example that I just wrote out for you, 7 would be the middle. And then we would go plus, add our amplitude to the middle to get our high, subtract our amplitude to get our low. Okay? So we've shifted now vertically. Okay? So for instance, this one. Okay? So on this one, I got this, and I know that this here is my D, my vertical shift, because it's not in a set of parentheses. If it was x plus 2 in a set of parentheses, then that's not D. Okay? It's got to be outside afterwards. So what that does is that puts my middle at 2. That number is my middle. This number here is still my amplitude A, so my amplitude is 3/2. Okay? So 2 plus 3/2 is like 7/2, right? Because 2 is 4 4/2. Okay? So it's like 7/2. So my high is going to be 7/2. 2 minus 3/2 is going to be like 1/2. Now, I'll pause for a minute here to let that sink in. So my domain is still going to be all real numbers, but now my range goes from 1/2 to 7/2. My start is, still going to be 0. What's my period? 2 pi, right? Because we're dividing by 1, because there's a 1 right there. So it's just 2 pi, which means I'm going to end at 2 pi. Now, here is where I differ a little bit than what we just did. Okay? So this is going to be a little different now that we're going to graph it. I should have said it 30 seconds earlier. You're fine. Let it be. I here now draw my first wave before I put the axes on. Okay? With me? So this is a sine curve, right? with a negative a value. Starts middle, goes up, middle, down, middle, or the opposite way. Opposite way, right? Okay. So I am going to start here with my curve.
Scroll up a little bit so I can actually get close to that.
So there's my curve, right? Now, what I'm going to do is now I can draw in my axes, because it's not always at 0, 0. I'm not starting at the origin on the sine curve. Okay? So now when I go to label these, so now my low is down here at 1/2. My middle is right here at 2, and my high is at 7/2. Horizontally, I would be at 0, pi over 2, pi, pi over 2. Let that one sink in. Like it. You try that one. No. Go for it. Alrighty. So this puts my middle at 2. This gives me an amplitude of 3. That means that 2 plus 3 is 5 would be my high. 2 minus 3 would be -1 for my low. So my range is from -1 to +5, and we go through all the numbers. We start at 0. This tells me 2 pi divided by 1/2 is 4 pi. So that means we're going to end at 4 pi. This is a sine curve with a negative a value. That means we're going to start in the middle, go down, middle, up, middle. So I am going to start that here. Okay. We started at 0, so I can put my vertical axes there. My middle right here is 2. My low down here is -1, and my high up here is 5. So based off of that, I would put my horizontal axes somewhere in there. Then my horizontaling, we would go here at 0. We went all the way out to 4 pi. And now here's where you kind of got to guesstimate. So there, down, no, wait, hold on, middle, so middle again. So here would be 2 pi, peak would be 3 pi, and my low would be pi. Like such. All right. Well, that's vertical shifts. Those are the easy ones. I'm going to skip this one. I want to get to horizontal shifts. Okay. So horizontal shifts now. Okay. So we start at C. Now, the one thing that I will tell you about the beginning or the start is we've got to, because it's in a set of parentheses with a subtraction, we have to think oppositely. Because it's x minus c. So x equals c would be my start. So the quick visual test, you got to think oppositely just on c. Okay. On d, what it is, that's what it is. Okay. On a, absolute value. On b, just to divide. Okay. All right. So here's what a problem like that would look like. Okay. Here again, especially here now, once again, we're going to start with we're not going to start with the axes because we don't know where those axes are going to go. Okay. So based off of this one, I got nothing out here, so that puts my middle at 0. I've got a 1 out in front, so that makes my amplitude a 1, which means I go all the way up to 1, I go all the way down to negative. Domain, all real numbers. Yeah. But now here is my start value. Okay. So visual test, it looks like negative pi over 3, right? Visual. But I got to think oppositely. So that means my start is going to be at pi over 3. Okay. So thinking oppositely, and my start is now at my c value. What is the period of this function? 2 pi, because I got a 1 out here yet still. Okay? So my period is 2 pi. Now, this is where maths and your love of fractions comes into play. What's pi over 3 plus 2 pi? Seven pi over 3, right? Because 2 pi is 6 pi over 3. So 6 pi over 3 plus 1 more pi over 3 means that I end at 7 pi over 3. Okay? Still not out of our love for fractions yet, but let's get a graph going here. Cosine with a positive a value. Where do I start? Up top, then middle, bottom, middle, end up top, right? Yes? Okay, so let's draw it. Okay, fine, you talked me into it. Much better. Okay. All right. So, our middle is at 0, so we can add in our middle. Boom. Done. Okay. But our start was at pi over 3. So that changes this one. Here, let me first add in those. Now here, this is pi over 3. Now here, this is 7 pi over 3. Right? I got to take the average of those to get me this middle. Quick way, just deal with the numerators. Okay? 1 plus 7 is 8 divided by 2? 4. So this middle is 4 pi over 3. Same thing. 1 plus 4 is 5. Now 5 I can't divide by 2, so instead I'm going to multiply the denominator by 2. See how I did that? Yeah. 4 plus 7 is 11. Can't divide it by 2. So I multiply the denominator by 2. Fractions are fun, Cory. And there's our graph. Again, on this week's formative, and next, well, I shouldn't say next Thursday, even though it really is the next Thursday, but on Thursday the 5th test, you will have to graph and give us all 8 of those green and blue numbers. Okay? 5 horizontal, 3 vertical. Okay? Try that. No extra number back there. Put my middle at 0. A 1 out here makes my amplitude 1, which means my high is 1, my low is negative. All real numbers as always. Then, that number there says that I'm starting actually at negative pi. Right? The opposite thing oppositely, it's plus pi, that means I'm starting at negative pi. Okay? I got a 1 here, so that means that my period is 2 pi. Negative pi plus 2 pi would be pi. So that means I'm ending at pi. Cosine curve with a positive a value means that I start up high. Oh, got fixed. We did apparently. We did not erase very good. Close. Yeah. My middle is 0, so that can be in the middle. My other middle is at the low point, actually. There. So then we can add in our 1, 0, positive 1. Started way out here at negative pi. Ended over here at pi. Luckily, those are the same. So that means that we go through the middle of 0. So put it there. Half of pi is pi over 2. So this is the positive pi over 2. This one would be negative pi over 2. Yeah, buddy? Let's do one more. I know that there's 2 more on the thing, but let's only do 1 more. Let's see if which one do I like better? Which one do you like better? Ooh, I like this one the bestest. Yeah. I'm gonna get you started on it, and then I'm going to turn around and let you go at it, or let you graph it. Okay? So remember back to a couple of slides ago, we said that y equals a sine of b times x minus c plus d, right? When we got all four of them going on in there. Okay. What's different about the general form that I just wrote in this example?
X minus C.
So there's a 2 on my x, right? There's a coefficient other than 1 on the x inside. So before I even start this one, I have got to get it to look like that so I can graph it like I've been graphing. Okay? So what I have to do here is I have to say that this is the sine of 2 times x minus, we agree with pi over 8. Yeah? Okay? Because if I distribute that 2 in, then I get the same thing. Okay? So always do a quick mental check on that. Okay? But that's the function that I'm going to be graphing. Because now I've got my A value, I've got my B value, I've got my C value, and way over here, I got my D value. Okay? Now, you go and graph that. That's what I got. Do you agree? Any questions on how I got what I got? So, for the remaining 20 minutes, what I would like you to work on now is you just need some more practice. And so, you've got 12, well, really now you've got 10, because you did 2 of them at the start. Go back and check them, make sure you did them right. But then you've got 10 other ones